Greetings, Bat Warriors. Greetings. Greg is here, so are you. It's another life lesson for the Results Kill Excuses channel. As I share heartfelt experiences, guidance, encouragement, and even some challenges that are the experiences that I have had along my now going over 13 plus years of sobriety, 13 years of doing life on life's terms. I'm out here at my ranch in northern New Mexico. I feel like it's been a little while since I've been here. And we're down to the last 90 days of 2025. Where'd it go? When you look back on the last 9 months, 2025, what type of year was this for you? Was it a challenging year, successful year, prosperous year, transformational year? Was it a sober year? Was it an active year? Was it a bucket list type year? What kind of year have you had? Because I'll tell you what, right now, from now until January 1st, 2026, this is what is called the separation season. What does that mean? Well, it's your opportunity to separate yourself from the lower version of yourself first and foremost. It's an opportunity for you to truly double down, quadruple down on whatever it is that you need to do to finish this year strong. Finish this year in stride. Finish this year with some momentum. And I'm doing that very thing right now, having to recalibrate, to recalculate, to assess with clear eyes, what are the areas of my life that I need to improve, that I need to lock down on. It's been a challenging year. This summer was incredibly challenging. How was your summer? I had some of the highest of highs and some of the lowest of lows. Dealing with the death of my biological father, the hospitalization of my son, the reconnection with myself, with my divine counterpart, and also dealing with some health issues myself. And yet, if there's anything for you to take away from this message, it's to know that if you look around, it's better to look within though, but if you look around without judgment, without criticism, everyone's going through something right now. We're all going through something. There's a great awakening that's happening. And it's happening first within ourselves. It's happening inside of you. If you're hearing this message, if you're drawn to my content or other content about spiritual awakening, transformation, healing, growth, personal development, and not just one-dimensional stuff, but really getting into the fullness of what we're capable of doing. The mental health, the emotional health, the spiritual health, the physical health, the financial health, the total health, the total transformation. If there's something that I can share with you right here and now, that as I reflect on my summer, as I reflect on the past 9 months, like I hit this year in stride. Very powerful. I literally just blew down the door from 24 into 25. Lots of momentum. And I'm building that momentum up right now because I found myself in a season most recently, and it's summer, of all seasons, summer, where I had to really pull back. I had to pull back my energy. And there's times that we need to do this. I remember telling a guy today, it was actually yesterday, I was on a hike. There's these two guys, you could tell they were a little unprepared for what they were facing, but guess what? They were out there, and they were tired. And it was like when I first started, I saw these guys way up the mountain, and always in the back of my mind, I'm like, I wonder if I'm gonna catch those guys. And sure enough, there I was, and sure enough, they wanted to connect with me, and they were great guys, cool dudes. But I encouraged them to say, you know, one of the biggest lessons in life that I've learned is to know when to rest and not to quit. But I have to caution that because there's a lot of you listening right now. You've been resting for far too long. If you need to rest for a day, an afternoon, a week, a month, even a season, that's pretty good. That's what I'm coming out of right now. I needed to rest. But the cool thing is there's some days I needed to rest, but there were some other days I needed to push it hard. I needed to go hard and hike and lift and jump in cold water and go on an adventure. But then there was other days that I needed to just allow myself the space and the solitude and the tranquility to just rest, to recharge, to regroup. And that's truly knowing thyself. It's taken a lot of maturity. It's taken a lot of healing for me to not just be who I once was, which is, if you've listened to my message for any amount of time, it's like all I used to do is breathe, eat, and sleep, hustle and grind, hustle and grind, hustle and grind, ever since I was a kid. Hustle and grind. 24 hours a day. There's my brothers there, the Ravens. I love them so much. They're happy that I'm here. I brought them a little something. And there's still a lot of people that think that it's all about how hard you work. It's not about that. I truly do believe that through my healing, through my maturity, through my spiritual awakening, something that I've really had to experience and teach myself and allow myself to reprogram is allowing myself to surrender more and to align. And so what am I surrendering from? Just working hard, just moving, just doing, just to do, especially if it's out of a fear mindset, a survival mindset. Anybody in that state right now? Everywhere I look, I see people, they're just surviving. Everywhere I look, I see people struggling to just stay afloat. And my heart goes out to you if you are out there busting your ass to stay afloat. I can guarantee you I'm still busting my ass to do the things I need to do. However, there's a caveat, is I'm learning how to allow myself be still. That sounds very simple. When I first started doing yoga a few years ago, one of the teachers said that there's a move, and it's at the end of like a really hard hot power flow yoga. That's what I used to love doing. And at the end of it, they do a move called Savasana, where you get to just lay down. It's like nap time. It's like everybody gets to lay down. I don't know if it's 5 minutes. It's not an extended amount of time, but a lot of the yoga instructors that I've talked to say that's probably the hardest move for people to do, is to just be still. And in that stillness, what I've been able to do is to really become more and more and more and more aware of my thoughts, become more and more and more aware of my feelings, become more and more and more aware of my spirit, my body, my soul, my energy, the power that I possess. And I've had some of the most incredible experiences of my life. This is probably pretty wild here, but I've had some of the most incredible experiences literally laying down, doing breath work, doing some breath holds, and being just as still as possible. It brings joy even just thinking about it, because it's truly an elevated state of being, which is really frequency. It's just a frequency adjustment. You have low frequencies and high frequencies. And a lot of times we think, well, to have high frequencies means you gotta be active and running and doing all kinds of stuff. And it's like, not necessarily. The frequency is mastered whilst being still. Because I can tell you this, think about it. When you are in a state of panic, frustration, anger, fear, doubt, guilt, shame, sadness, worry, there's a lot of things that we do to get ourselves out of that feeling. There's a lot of things that we run to. There's a lot of things that we need to help shift how we feel about ourselves. And for those of you that are becoming more and more aware that you are awakening, spiritually speaking, right? That maybe there's a point in the now to the near future where you're going to shift into a greater level of self, a greater level of conscientiousness. And usually it's a decision. It doesn't happen just by osmosis. It doesn't just happen by spending time out in nature, right? There has to be a level of self-awareness. There's a lot of people that are running on empty. And I used to be one of them. I used to be really irritable. I used to really be exhausted. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually exhausted, broken. To where even when I tried to rest, it wasn't restful. It didn't bring me a sense of relief. It didn't recharge my batteries. You ever had that? You wake up from a night of sleep and you're still tired, you're still exhausted, you're still groggy, you're still dragging ass. And it's like something else is going on there, if that's how you ever feel. It's more than just getting sleep physically. It's allowing yourself the mental, the emotional, the spiritual rest. And in the past season of summer, I realized that in order for me to weather the storms that I went through, because I'm on the other side of the storms. I'm still integrating the lessons. If you're someone that's been a faithful member here at the Results Kill Excuses channel, I just want you to know I love you, I care about you, I appreciate you so much. The message, the purpose in my life to speak a message that helps others to help themselves, that truly has the potential to help transform this world into a better place, is still fully functional. It's fully alive and well, and it's even greater than ever before. However, I'm still trying to figure out what I just went through, what I just experienced. And the way that I've taught myself how to do that is to give myself space, to allow myself to rest, allow myself to slow down, when necessary, not every day. In the past 3 months, I've been very active. I've been really trying to do my best to keep my cup full, to overflowing. However, one of the things that I haven't quite been able to do is to articulate how to share it all. How the experiences of the last 3 months has shifted my energy, has shifted my messaging. At the root of it is still the same. I can tell you that. At the root of what I've experienced, it's still the same. It's really just an expansion of self. It's really fully stepping into the higher version of self. It's integrating the higher version of self energetically. Living from the end, living from the potential that you can imagine for yourself, and really embodying that energy. And I've had just so many different tests, financial tests, family tests, spiritual tests, physical tests, mental, emotional tests, just all different types of life and death and tests to really show me, to show myself, is this really who I am? And I truly believe that you're capable of doing the exact same thing, showing yourself who you truly are. And I think that one of the best ways for me to have done that is to just teach myself how to be still. The breath work, the breath holds, just the stillness of any moment. I mean, I can do it right here. You could do it right here. Grandfather, sun, setting. Another beautiful day. Nature all around. So peaceful. It's so calm and it's so quiet. And yet that's a reflection of what's within. It hasn't always been that way. I haven't always been able to have that internal peace. Is that something that you're searching for? If you're searching for internal peace, internal tranquility, to a place where you can just be with yourself, appreciate yourself, love yourself. This is all part of the reparenting process. This is all a part of the life review, healing, and learning how to forgive yourself. Throughout the many, many, many years of talk therapy that I've done, it was like the first 10 therapists that I had throughout the first 10 years of therapy that I remember like an echo of all of them after hearing my stories, hearing all the things that I had experienced. And that's one of the things that's challenging about therapists, is every time you get moved to a new one, it's like you got to hit the reset. You got to rehash all the things because you got to rebuild up with them. And that's probably been one of the more frustrating parts of therapy, but I've never regretted it, because here's what that allows you to do, and it's what allowed me to do, to know myself, to really talk through the story of what I've experienced, what I've lived through, and ultimately giving me the ability to say, what do I need to heal? What do I need to grow from? What do I need to release? What do you need to release from your past? Is there anything that you've swept under the rug that you think is gone, but it still haunts you? It still shows up. We're creatures of habit, and really we're pattern. We're all pattern based. So if you were to be curious enough about who you are, you can really start to see the patterns. And one of the patterns I saw throughout all these years of therapy, after sharing my story time and time and time again, was people that were compassionate towards me, empathetic towards me, and neutral towards me, saying, do you think you can forgive yourself? And I'm like, what is that? When I first heard that, I was like, what the hell does that even mean? Yeah, sure, man, I forgive myself. Sure, easy, bet, it's done. But it wasn't done. Because as I look back as I go a layer deeper, past just telling myself, hey, I forgive you, when I go a layer deeper, right? If you've ever been confronted with forgiving somebody, what does that look like? What does that feel like? What does that sound like? What happens after? Is the relationship done? How do you repair? And as I say here all the time, if you want to improve the relationship you have with others, it starts by improving the relationship you have with yourself. And so maybe that's what you need to hear today, because I had to hear it time and time and time and time again. Hey, do you think you can forgive yourself? And more than just giving lip service, saying, yeah, sure, man, I forgive myself. Something that I work with one-on-one with coaching clients and in small groups is what I like to call the forgiveness ritual. And so with the forgiveness ritual, the way that I do it is, it's literally just getting into your body. You can do some basic breath. And beyond that, what you want to do is you want to identify something that needs to be forgiven. And you need to identify someone that needs to be forgiven for the thing. And if we're just talking about ourselves, maybe come up with something a mistake you've made in life. Right? For me, it's like I've had to forgive myself for, a lot of things. Oh shoot, I'm on the spot. I'm putting myself on the spot. But one of the things that was probably the hardest to forgive myself for is when I got arrested for domestic violence with my now ex-wife. And that carries around so much guilt, so much shame. And it was really the breaking point that got me to this place, to where I knew I had to do everything and anything I could to change who I was, to shift myself, to take ownership of my life. And so in doing the forgiveness ritual, you know, you want to maybe go outside. You want to really be in a space where you can just be, again, present with yourself, to be still, so that it's not just like how I was when the first therapist told me. I was like, yeah, I forgive myself. Now what? It's done. It's like, no, is it? And so it's like, you know, you have to literally claim it. You have to speak it. You can write it. Multiple things, the more you do it. And here's I'll preface it with, there's no one and done. I've had to forgive myself hundreds and hundreds of times, because there's residual and there's programs, and you know, we have this, you know, lower self that just constantly wants to beat us up and hold us back, especially if the thermostat starts getting turned too high, where you start growing through some of the pains. And so sitting in there, you want to just sit with yourself and say, I forgive myself for, and I forgive myself with all my mind, with all my strength, with all my soul, and I set myself free. And you say it 3 times. And really what you should say is, with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul, and with all your strength. I forgive myself with all my heart, with all my mind, with all my soul, and with all my strength, for fill in the blank. And as you say that 3 times, 4 times, 10 times if you have to, right? You then can say, and I set myself free. I send myself love. You send yourself some affirmations. I send myself love. I send myself strength. I send myself freedom. I send myself happiness, and I see myself as happy. And I send myself love. And so as you do that with yourself, right, you can allow yourself to start to create a greater sense of relationship with yourself, because you start healing the things that are at the deeper levels that you're carrying around in the darkest spots within your soul. And so I know that someone needed to hear that today, and I hope that you'll give yourself a chance to put that into practice. Do it with yourself. Even write it out. Writing it out is really good reinforcement. You could even write it out first. Write out, you know, some of the things you need to forgive yourself for, some of your mistakes, some of the things that you're carrying around guilt and shame and regret from. Write those things out, and then use that as basically your blueprint and your script for actually sitting there now and trying to just wash your spirit, your heart, your mind, your body with a spirit of forgiveness, of freedom, of release, of renewal. Renewal. That's what it's all about, is renewal. So I just want to thank you for checking out this message. I love you guys so much. Stay tuned. Remember, know when to rest versus knowing when to quit. Don't quit. Keep going. Stay on this path, 1% better every day. I love you guys. You know the drill. Results kill excuses, because if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth it. Greg's out.